I believe that we have to have an ideal at the center of our collective notions of sexual identity. And I think that ideal has to be long-term, stable, monogamous, heterosexual, married, child-centered couples. That's the ideal. And then there's going to be a periphery around that where all the mortals live who can't live up to that. And that's pretty much everybody, because people's marriages are unstable and people get divorced and there are gay people and, everybody falls short of the ideal. But you might say, well, because we all fall short of the ideal, we should just scrap the damn ideal. But then nobody can communicate. Nobody knows what to do with each other. And that's a problem. But also worse than that, I think the people who suffer first when the ideal collapses are the people on the periphery. And so if we destroy that monogamous heterosexual ideal, well, what's happened very rapidly? We destroyed that, we undermined it. And now gay kids are being surgically mutilated and sterilized. That doesn't look to me like an improvement. So the ideal stabilizes the periphery just as much as it stabilizes the core. And that's another fundamental flaw in postmodern doctrine, because the postmodernists, they would claim the opposite.
When you have the ideal, then at least we know collectively where we should be headed and what direction we should be looking in. And this is what has frustrated me. This is an understatement about leftism for as long as I've been aware of any of this, which is that they come along and they say, "Oh no, well it's not that anymore. That's not the ideal. That's not anything. That's patriarchal and bigoted. We're going to get rid of that." And then we ask, well, okay, well, what's next? Now what? So it's the now what question that they can never answer. They have certain targets in mind of things they want to tear down and destroy, but they never put anything new in its place. I think we get this wrong sometimes on the right. I get it wrong too, because I'll say that the left, they're always redefining words. They don't actually redefine the words. They just get rid of they empty a word of its meaning and its definition, but they don't come up with a new definition for it. That's the whole point of what is a woman. It's not like they came up with some new, but still logically consistent definition for it. They just said, no, that's not a thing. That doesn't exist anymore. That's gone.
Well, the definition is it's whatever we want it to be at the moment. And I actually think this is at the core of the pathology of the radical activists, because that's actually their fundamental claim. Their fundamental claim is things are exactly what we want them to be in the moment. And to me, that's a worship of the worst excesses of impulsive hedonism, right? It's like, I can just have it whatever way I want right now. And so you don't get to call me out on some sort of transcendent identity or unity or conception that's going to replace what I want to tear down. Because if I accepted that, then there'd be something else that would get in my way when I want to do just what the hell I want this moment. And like the radicalist claim is basically, that's exactly what it is as far as I can see. And I also think that's mostly what's being celebrated in these pride parades. It's not a stable alternative identity that could arise to replace in all its rainbow, brilliance and glory, the fundamental unity of heterosexual monogamy. It's, I want to do whatever the hell I want to do with whoever the hell I want to do, wherever I want to do it at any point in time. And I'm not willing to accept any conceptual framework whatsoever that's going to interfere with my hedonic, impulsive, immediate self-gratification. And when I look at that as a clinician, I think that's exactly what the most ill-behaved 2-year-olds think. And I mean that technically. Like, very badly behaved 2-year-olds 100% identify themselves subjectively, and they 100% demand to have their subjective hedonic demands met right now, or they tantrum.
We could talk about all the moral problems with it and all the logical problems, but it doesn't work. It just doesn't work as a philosophy. It certainly doesn't work as a map to living your life and being happy. And just like the 2-year-old you mentioned, the other thing about a 2-year-old like that is that the 2-year-old's always upset about something, always finding something to be upset about. Because you actually can, if you go to even a 2-year-old who's not terribly behaved, but if you go to a 2-year-old and if you tell the 2-year-old, okay, this is what we're doing, they're going to find a problem with that. But then if you go to 2-year-olds and say, well, what do you want to do? Well, let's just do whatever you want to do. They won't be able to make up their mind about that either because they don't know what they want because they're two. And I think that we see that a lot. That's, it's sort of the gender ideology is it's an anxiety machine. It creates anxiety because if I were to do my own psychological analysis, I would say that, anxiety is the awareness or the fear of the unknown. And with gender ideology and all the stuff we see on the LGBT left, people are making themselves unknown to themselves. They don't even know who they are. They don't know anything. And so they're just, their whole world is clouded in this suffocating anxiety. But they can't see clearly enough to realize that it's this worldview that's creating all this anxiety.
Yeah, well, technically, and this is true at the deepest level of analysis, anxiety is a marker for emergent entropy or disorder. So if you replace a unity of identity and purpose with a plethora of identities and purposes, especially an unlimited plethora, you replace a map with a destination and a pathway with a map that leads to absolutely every place that can be imagined all at once. And that's no map at all.